Cultivating self-compassion, practicing vulnerability, and gradually asserting personal boundaries can help rewrite the internal narrative. One of the most difficult aspects of feeling unloved is the misunderstanding and invalidation that often surrounds it. When you express this sense of emptiness or disconnection, it is not uncommon to be met with dismissive responses. Phrases like "just move on" or "you're overthinking it" are offered as quick solutions to something far more profound. When that acknowledgement is absent, even fleeting moments of loneliness can evolve into something more profound, leaving you to wonder if your presence truly makes a difference in the lives of those around you. Feeling unloved is one of the most profoundly isolating experiences a person can encounter. It is as though you are standing amidst a bustling, crowded space, surrounded by the chatter and presence of countless people, yet you feel entirely invisible. Despite the proximity of others, there is an undeniable sense of disconnection, as if an impenetrable barrier exists between you and the world around you. No matter how much you wish to be acknowledged, it feels as though your existence goes unnoticed, your voice unheard, and your presence disregarded. This sensation often stems from deep, unmet emotional needs, the yearning for connection, validation, and acknowledgement that, when unfulfilled, leaves an aching void inside. The absence of reciprocated care or understanding can accumulate over time, manifesting in an overwhelming sense of emptiness. It is a hollow ache, one that defies easy articulation. Words fall short of capturing the weight of such loneliness, and even attempts to describe it can feel inadequate, further reinforcing the isolation. In moments like these, you may begin to question the very essence of your worth. You reflect on your actions, your words, and the energy you have poured into relationships and wonder if perhaps there is something fundamentally lacking within you. The questions surface relentlessly. Am I deserving of love? Am I worthy of attention, care, or belonging? These doubts, though subtle at first, grow louder in the absence of affirmation from the outside world. The human desire to be seen and valued is intrinsic and universal. We seek out gestures of affection, moments of recognition, and the warmth that comes from genuine human connection. When these essential experiences are missing, the world can feel cold and indifferent. What might begin as a passing thought can spiral into a persistent narrative, one that casts shadows over your sense of self and colors the way you interpret the actions of those around you. What makes this experience particularly painful is its paradoxical nature. On the surface, you may appear fully integrated into your surroundings, attending social gatherings, engaging in conversation, and fulfilling your responsibilities. Yet beneath this exterior, a profound sense of separation lingers, hidden from view. Even in moments of laughter or shared company, there can exist a quiet, lingering emptiness. This internal conflict can give rise to a pattern of self-doubt and hyper-awareness. You might begin to overanalyze interactions, searching for hidden meanings or indications that others value you less than you desire. A missed call, a forgotten invitation, or even a neutral response may feel amplified, reinforcing the belief that you are not as important or cherished as you hope to be. Feeling unloved can cast doubt on your sense of worth, but it doesn't diminish who you are at your core. Recognizing this distinction can be challenging, especially in moments of vulnerability. The emotional pain that accompanies these experiences is often less about an inherent flaw within oneself and more reflective of external circumstances, misunderstandings, emotional barriers in others, or the complexities of human relationships. Recognizing this truth requires conscious effort and self-compassion. The path to overcoming the weight of feeling unloved lies not in seeking constant validation from others, but in fostering a deeper sense of love and acceptance within yourself. True connection begins internally through the practice of nurturing your own worth and acknowledging your inherent value. In doing so, The invisible walls of isolation begin to crumble. The space around you feels less intimidating, and the silent ache that once defined your experience gradually gives way to moments of peace, strength, and the quiet realization that you are, and always have been, deserving of love. Let's take a moment to reflect on an essential truth. Feeling unloved does not mean you are unlovable. These two experiences are often mistaken for one another, but they stem from entirely different places. Feeling unloved is a temporary state shaped by circumstances, miscommunication, or unmet emotional needs. Being unlovable, on the other hand, implies a fixed condition of worthlessness, which is rarely grounded in reality. It's important to recognize that the absence of love or acknowledgement from others does not define your value. Sometimes the love we crave may be withheld, not because we are undeserving, but because others are limited in their capacity to give. Their actions, or lack thereof, reflect their own struggles, not your worth. By embracing this distinction, you begin to separate fleeting emotions from your deeper sense of self. You are not defined by the love you receive, but by the love you choose to cultivate within. Even in moments of isolation, your worth remains intact, waiting to be rediscovered. The perception of being unloved often takes root early in life, sometimes as far back as childhood. These formative years, meant to be filled with nurturing and encouragement, can sometimes introduce experiences that leave lasting imprints on the heart and mind. Perhaps as a child, you eagerly sought approval, a simple nod of recognition, a word of praise, or a comforting hug, only to find yourself met with criticism, dismissal, or cold indifference. Moments that should have affirmed your worth may have instead created confusion, leading to feelings of inadequacy and longing. Children, sensitive to their surroundings, seek love and validation from caregivers. When met with criticism or distance, they may internalize feelings of inadequacy, shaping how they view themselves into adulthood. When these key figures are emotionally distant, unavailable, or overly critical, the absence of affection begins to shape how a child views themselves. Each missed opportunity for warmth or connection reinforces the notion that love must be earned, that to be seen or appreciated, one must work harder, achieve more, or suppress their true feelings. This yearning for affection, when met with distance or rejection, often embeds itself deeply into the subconscious. The child may start to internalize the belief that they are not good enough, or that something within them is fundamentally flawed. Over time, this belief solidifies, transforming into an ever-present voice that whispers doubts about their worth. Even as the child grows into adolescence and adulthood, this voice lingers, becoming a quiet but persistent narrative that colors their self-perception and relationships. It is not uncommon for adults to look back on their childhood and recall moments that seemed insignificant at the time, harsh words spoken in frustration, affection withheld during moments of vulnerability, or comparisons drawn to siblings or peers. These instances, though fleeting, accumulate and build the foundation for feelings of being unloved. What begins as an isolated experience can spiral into a pervasive mindset, one that extends beyond the family unit and influences how the individual interacts with friends, partners, and colleagues. As this belief system matures, it affects more than just interpersonal relationships. It seeps into decision-making, self-expression, and the way one navigates challenges. Individuals who carry this sense of unworthiness might hesitate to pursue their goals or avoid situations that require vulnerability. There is often an underlying fear of rejection, an expectation that their efforts will once again be met with disinterest or criticism. This self-protective behavior, while intended to shield from further pain, inadvertently reinforces the cycle of isolation. However, it is vital to acknowledge that these perceptions, though powerful, are not reflections of absolute truth. The absence of love or approval during childhood does not equate to being unlovable. It is a narrative shaped by circumstances beyond one's control, a story authored by the environment rather than an inherent deficiency within the individual. Recognizing this distinction marks the first step toward healing. By bringing these experiences into awareness, you can begin to dismantle the falsehoods that have taken root over the years. It is a process of gently challenging the inner critic and replacing those old narratives with affirmations of self-worth. Healing may also involve revisiting these childhood memories with compassion, acknowledging the pain felt, and offering the reassurance that was once missing. Surrounding yourself with supportive relationships, engaging in self-reflection, and allowing space for vulnerability can all aid in rewriting this narrative. Gradually, the internal voice that once whispered doubts can transform into one that champions resilience and self-acceptance. The journey to undo the perception of being unloved is neither simple nor linear. It requires patience and courage to confront the shadows of the past. But in this process lies the opportunity for profound growth, a chance to reclaim the sense of worth that has always resided within, waiting to be rediscovered. The echoes of feeling unloved do not dissipate with time. Instead, they subtly weave themselves into the fabric of adulthood, manifesting in relationships, friendships, and the way you perceive your own worth. The wounds of the past often linger quietly beneath the surface, influencing decisions, interactions, and emotional responses in ways that are not always immediately apparent. As adults, many find themselves engaging in patterns of behavior rooted in this lingering fear of rejection. Some may overextend themselves, constantly striving to prove their worth to others. They pour their energy into pleasing those around them, saying yes when they mean no, sacrificing personal boundaries, and taking on responsibilities far beyond their capacity. This relentless pursuit of validation stems from the hope that eventually someone will recognize their efforts and affirm their value. However, such behavior often leads to burnout and resentment, reinforcing the very loneliness they are trying to escape. On the opposite end of the spectrum, others may choose to withdraw. To protect themselves from the potential pain of further rejection, they construct emotional walls, creating distance even in close relationships. By limiting vulnerability and suppressing their true feelings, they believe they are shielding their hearts from disappointment. Yet this defensive posture can lead to isolation, preventing meaningful connections and deepening the sense of being misunderstood or unseen. These opposing reactions, overextending and withdrawing, are two sides of the same coin, both driven by the underlying belief that love must either be earned or guarded against. The paradox is that these behaviors, intended to protect, often perpetuate the very isolation and emptiness they seek to avoid. Overextending oneself can lead to being taken for granted, while withdrawal can result in missed opportunities for genuine connection. Friendships, too, are not immune to these patterns. The individual may struggle with trust, hesitant to open up for fear of rejection or abandonment. Alternatively, they may become overly accommodating, hesitant to voice their needs or boundaries out of concern that doing so could jeopardize the relationship. The workplace can also reflect these deep-seated fears. A person may become a perfectionist, working tirelessly to avoid criticism, believing that their professional worth is tied directly to their performance. Conversely, they may shy away from leadership opportunities or collaboration, fearing exposure or judgment. The common thread running through these experiences is the internal narrative that suggests one's value is contingent upon external approval. This belief, deeply ingrained from childhood experiences, continues to shape how individuals interact with the world long into adulthood. Yet, the awareness of these patterns marks the first step toward breaking free from them. By recognizing the ways in which the fear of being unloved influences behavior, one can begin to challenge these subconscious scripts,